Hello everyone and good morning, Alex here today, and I want to share my thoughts on kind of a serious topic, and that is with regards to gaming addiction, particularly video gaming addiction. Over the night last night, a new story hit the news wires with regards to the World Health Organization and their efforts to try and classify video game addiction as a serious mental disease requiring mandatory reporting and treatment when it's diagnosed. And when I read this story this morning, I had some kind of conflicted feelings about it. Of course, I am a video game player myself. I've been playing video games since I was 5 years old, essentially. I've been playing video games my whole life. I would not say that video games have destroyed my life in any way. In fact, I would even go so far to say that video games in many times have helped my life and have got me through some of the very worst and darkest moments of my life. Now, I also realize that that doesn't apply to everybody. Some people can take something and take it way too far. And I recognize that as well. So what the World Health Organization is trying to do here is try and capture that broad spectrum of gamers that truly need help. What I worry about is their diagnosis methods. From what I know and from what I've studied, the psychological profession more and more recently has been painting with a very, very large brush and trying to diagnose everything under the sun, even when it's not applicable. The particular example that I can think of recently, again, this is my own personal opinion, is autism. Autism in the DSM-3 manual of psychological diagnosis. When DSM-3 came out, there was a pretty big laundry list that someone had to hit to be diagnosed as autistic. It wasn't just something here or there. It was a major thing to be diagnosed as autistic. When DSM-4 came out, all those distinctions suddenly rapidly went away. And now, if you so much as, blink in the wrong order, you're now autistic. And what concerns me about this is that there are so many companies and pharmaceutical companies and professions that are tied to this over-diagnosis and over-treatment of autism, that it's become an industry in and of itself. And I think it's careful to recognize when there may be some ulterior motives behind all this diagnosis. Now, again, that's my criticism of some of the broad spectrum autistic diagnosis that's out there. But when it comes to video games, though, I think they're getting a little bit confused here with regards to the diagnosis and what can be considered a symptom or a side effect of a larger issue. And that is where I'm getting a little bit concerned here, because a lot of times, and this is my own personal belief, people play video games to, yes, escape the real world. But what they don't ask is, why are they escaping the real world? Life is tough. Life throws some real bad things at you, and I have experienced this quite a lot in the last couple of years. And video games are a medium that gives some agency back to that person when life feels completely out of control and life is just knocking you down and squashing you with things that are beyond your control. And video games gives you a sense of agency and control in a life where there is no agency and control. That is both the therapeutic portion of it, and I can also recognize the addictive portion of it. Where that line is, though, is something that I think the psychological profession has to be very, very aware of, between what is considered to be something that is entertainment and something that is taken way too far. And it'll be interesting to see how that develops. When a kid comes in and he's playing lots of video games to the exclusion of everything else, we're talking to the exclusion of seeing his friends, to the exclusion of doing his schoolwork, studying correctly, and really making something of his life, and he's just focused on that. Yes, there's a problem, absolutely. But when a kid is coming in and he's playing video games because he's being bullied at school, because that's the one place in his life where he feels safe, and I'm using the pronoun he because it's usually boys and men that more often fall into this, although it is applicable to women as well. But I don't think it's as applicable to the same degree as it is to men. But when boys, get bullied at school, a lot of them seek solace in video games. But sometimes I'd rather have them in video games than going out and doing something more destructive or more harmful to other people, and into different places where in video games, okay, they can feel some empowerment here where, he could be out with his friends, drinking and doing drugs and doing all sorts of crazy stuff that can, really hurt him and really hurt other people. So really deciding where that line is, I think, is a very important thing that the psychological profession needs to get right. And I know they won't get it right the first time. And that is what I fear, is that they're going to overdiagnose this and they're going to miss the actual problem from the symptom. The symptom is playing video games a little too much, maybe way too much. But is the problem bullying? Is the problem social anxiety? Is the problem problems at home? It could be parents getting a divorce. It could be relationship problems. It could be marriage problems. It could be problems at work. There's a whole slew of places in life that can cause someone to go into video games way too much. That's not to say that there's no such thing as too much video games. I believe that there is. And I'm going to give one example. There's a family friend of mine where he had to take care of his family, and this is an older adult, this is a gentleman, and he would be in World of Warcraft, and he would have to go out and get a job, but he just lived off of, Social Security payments and disability payments that his wife was getting, and he wouldn't go out there and really put in the effort of trying to get a job and support his family. Now, in that particular case, I would definitely say that video games are a symptom of something larger. What is that larger thing? Why is this guy not going out and getting a job? Why is he not taking the initiative? That is where the psychological focus needs to be, rather than saying, oh, he's playing too many video games, well, get rid of the video games. Okay, you can take out the video games, take him to the bar, and you can watch him drink himself to death. Would you call that progress? Would you call that problem solved? No. I would call it worse. A lot worse. Not to say that there's not an issue there. There is. There's very clearly an issue. But the issue is, why is this guy not getting a job? Or why is this guy not taking care of his family? Or why is this guy not bettering himself and maybe getting some education? Or even, just trying to do something with his life to make it more worthwhile. Heck, some people that really love video games, if you really love video games, make some YouTube videos about it. You can even make a profession out of it. You can go into programming and maybe even how to make video games more applicable to real life. You can even make video games that are educational. You can enhance the positive aspects of video games and actually make that part of your life if you love it that much. Things like that. A lot of great movie makers such as Steven Spielberg, Stanley Kubrick, and a whole bunch of others. They loved filmmaking to the point that they turned it into the profession. That can apply here as well. So video games is definitely, I'd say, is a symptom, but I will not call that a direct cause. Now, that does not take video games off the hook, because video games do have mechanics, psychological mechanics, that can encourage addiction. Now there's a little bit of a problem. Okay, and the YouTube channel called Extra Credits really addressed this problem with some of the psychological techniques to encourage gameplay. Okay, but I don't take that to the level of saying that it's the same kind of addiction level like you would have with cocaine or narcotics. Okay, it's a psychological one, and it's not just video games that do it. Any kind of medium where there is kind of a chance-based system is going to use this. Go to any lottery, go to almost just about anything that has some sort of chance-based system, it's going to have that aspect to it. Okay, that needs to be kept an eye on. So that is kind of the one point that I do agree with, that there could be some addictive elements, is when it uses something that is completely random or something that is not skill-based. Then it starts getting a little more to be a gambling type of thing. Loot crates, for example. But a lot of players and a lot of the industry, I won't say the industry because they're the ones propagating it, but a lot of developers inside the industry and a particular player base in general has pushed back on this for that exact same reason. A lot of the players were the first ones to recognize that loot crates and loot boxes have that gambling mechanic in it that can cause just a massive amount of money being spent, or a grinding mechanic that can cause a massive amount of time to being spent. And I think any gamer that is, has their firm grip on life and what they're going through needs to be very well aware of what they need to be doing. Okay guys, so I'm going to wrap up the video here. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, this has been kind of an open discussion on my thoughts on that news story from the New York Times. I'll put the link below. Feel free to let me know what you think, or what your ideas are in the comment section below. And if you enjoy this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll go from there. I'm going to keep some general gaming news going on, or anything that kind of piques my interest. I'm going to put some more general videos out there, and hopefully you guys like it. All right, take care guys, talk to you soon, and stay tuned.